Let me ask you this. Do you recognize the handwriting on these two sheets?
Yes.
Do you know whose handwriting it is?
It's mine.
Do you know what these documents are?
Yeah.
What is this?
Crazy stories that people have created. Things I wanted to set straight in an interview. That if people hear a lie long enough, people believe it. That people have lied on me. Don't judge a person unless you have spoken to them one-on-one, which is true.
True.
And Jesus said to love the children and be like children. Be youthful and be innocent and be pure and honorable. He was talking to his apostles, and they were fighting over who's the greatest among themselves. And he said, whoever humbled yourself like this child is the greatest among me. And he always surrounded himself with children. And that's how I was raised, to believe and to be like that and to imitate that. So I don't know what you're trying to make out of it. I made a list of things. When I get angry enough, I write down what I want to say and what I want to talk about to set the record straight. Because you get to a point where you get tired of people lying. I get tired of situations like this, where people completely lie on me, and I'm sick of it.
The video operator, we're off the record. I have the conclusion, 411.
CBS News has obtained a taped phone conversation. The voices are purportedly the father of the 13-year-old boy who is accusing Michael Jackson of molesting him and the boy's stepfather. The conversation was taped in July before the police began their investigation.
This man is going to be humiliated beyond belief. He will not believe it. He will not believe what's going to happen. Beyond his worst nightmares. So one more record. If I go through with this, I will get big time. I will get everything I want. They will be destroyed forever.
From the beginning, Jackson's private investigator said the accusations were brought about by a failed extortion attempt and says the taped conversation reinforces that.
It spells out everything to me that this was an extortion attempt from the very beginning. That it was all planned.
The problem, of course, was that Michael Jackson was practically convicted in the court of public opinion. In fact, polls show that 72% of the population, those polled, had an unfavorable opinion of Michael Jackson after these accusations. So it did hurt him.
What about his financial situation?
It hurt him financially as well.
Did you ever sexually engage, fondle, have sexual contact with this child or any other child?
Never, ever. I could never harm a child or anyone. It's not in my heart. It's not who I am. And with that, I was like catatonic. I was outraged.
How much money
Totally
was it?
outraged. So what I said, I have got to do something to get out from under this nightmare. We got together again with my advisors, and they advised me, it was hands down, a unanimous decision, resolve the case. This could be something that could go on for 7 years. The idea is just isn't fair, what they put me through, because there wasn't one piece of information that says I did that.
But let me ask you
to
a
this
couple
day,
of questions.
nothing. Still nothing.
Let me ask
nothing,
you a couple.
nothing.
Nothing. I got nothing.
What happened at the house? That's what all these things that people are concerned
that's what's so
about.
weird, you know.
What did happen?
Nothing happened, you know. Nothing. I mean, nothing really. I mean, we played video games, you know. We played it as an amusement park. Well, the thing is with that whole thing is that, you know, they go, oh, you slept in the same bedroom as him. It's like, I don't think you understand. Michael Jackson's bedroom is 2 stories. And it has like 3 bathrooms and this and that. So when I slept in his bedroom, yeah, but you have to understand the whole scenario. And the thing is with Michael is that he's not very good at explaining himself, and he never really has been, because he's not a very social person. I mean, you're talking about someone who's been sheltered and sheltering himself also for the last like 30 years, or you know, and so he's not very good at communicating to people and not very good at conveying what he's actually trying to say to you. And so when he says something like that, you know, people, you know, he doesn't quite understand why people react the way that they do.
Why do you think he likes young people so
It's because it's the same reason why he liked me, was the fact that I didn't care who he was. That was the thing. I talked to him like he was a normal human being. And that's what, and kids do that to him, because he's not, I mean, he's Michael Jackson, the pop singer, but he's not the god of, you know, the king of pop or anything like that. He's just, you know, a guy who's actually very kid-like himself and wants to go out there and wants to play video games with you.
Did your parents
like
encourage it?
They weren't against it. You know, it wasn't like they encouraged it or like pushing me upon it. It was just kind of like I wanted to hang out with him, and they were fine with it.
So what do you make of what he's going through now?
Like, you know, like I said, it's unfortunate, and you know, it's a circus right now.
You think it's a bad rap?
You know, I think so. Yeah. I mean, it's, you know, I mean, listen. Like, look what happened on the first time this happened to him. You know, if someone had done something like that to my kid, I would, you know, I wouldn't just settle for some money. You know, I'd make sure the guy was in jail. You know, and it just really goes to show. I mean, as soon as, you know, they got the money and they ran. I mean, that's really what happened the first time. And so,
the 3 bodyguards he trusted with his life speaking out for the first time. Ashley Banfield spent 3 days with the men who put their lives on the line for the King of Pop.
I mean, they say it's because someone has to defend this guy. They want to call the book In Defense of the King. And really, theirs is a story about a man who is sad and lonely, but mostly an amazing father.
Paparazzi swarming at the gate, even hiding in the trees. But it was in this house that these men learned more about Michael Jackson than almost anyone else.
Was he a good dad?
Awesome. Yes. Awesome. The kids would constantly tell him, you know, I love you, Daddy, and things like that.
So
he was like the
sweet,
4 buddies, you know. I mean, that was their world.
And they say he did all he could to shield Prince, Paris, and Blanket from the media frenzy.
Was he a pedophile?
No.
No, we don't believe so.
I don't believe so.
Not at all.
Being a father myself and being a man, men know men.
And you started as a youngster dancing with Michael Jackson?
Yeah, started dancing when I was like 2, and then won a dance competition when I was 5 that Michael was holding sort of all over the world doing his tour. And it was like a dance-alike contest like him.
Right.
I won that, and then the prize was to meet him.
And then you moved into the Rams.
Easy, Dean. Easy.
No, he's not moving to the Rams. No. Are you still friendly with Michael?
Yeah, we still talk every couple months, catch up.
You do, really?
Yeah.
Well, what's he like?
What's he like? He's a good guy.
He's a good guy?
Yeah.
No nonsense, no shenanigans, but he's a weird guy, you have to admit, right?
You know what, at the end of the day, it's like, everybody's got something weird about him. Everybody's got something strange about him.
It's your conviction of Michael Jackson's guilt that I'm fascinated by as a director. This has got huge global attention. It's having a catastrophic effect on Jackson's reputation, on his family, his young kids apparently are having terrible trouble with all this, as you would expect, and so on. So enormous repercussions.
Yeah.
And at the heart of it, you've got 2 people who gave evidence to support Jackson and who are suing the Jackson estate for hundreds of millions of dollars, which, you know, always adds a slightly uncomfortable tone.
As we repeatedly hear, you know, he was investigated by the police, the FBI. We all know, you know, he was interviewed by journalists repeatedly. He was one of the most reported on, scrutinised, investigated individuals in the world.
Corey Feldman came out with some pretty strong stuff on Monday. I pray those boys can sleep with that same clarity of consciousness. Let God be thy judge. He said he took issue with a documentary because Jackson's not around to defend himself and believes that Safe Chuck and Robson are motivated by money. So given the opportunity, he says, which he certainly had with me and others, being alone with no parents around, how did he control those urges so well while so blatantly sexual with those 2 boys? It doesn't really fit the profile. But what motive besides dollars do they have? I'm just not certain, as you are, that Jackson was proven to be a paedophile. And I'm just concerned about the credibility of the 2 people you so wholeheartedly rely on.
I think that to concoct a whole charade of, you know, your mum going on TV and your mum going on TV and your sister and your brother, even in the American version, all being devastated, and your wives all being devastated. I mean, it just beggars belief.
Well, I think, you know...
Well, it beggars belief until you remember that a previous alleged victim, Geordie Chandler, got 22 million, and his family...
Why would you give a 13-year-old 22 million?
You would do it because in America there is a suing culture, and they settle all the time, stuff like that.
Why do you think they're coming forward now?
Money.
You think it's all about money?
Well, it's all about money.
It's always been about money. I hate to say it when it's my uncle, it's almost like they see a blank check, and because they've been taken care of their whole life, and I think that's the problem. These people felt that they're owed something. You know, instead of working for something, they blame everything on my uncle.
Some would say there's a lot at stake financially for the Jackson family as well.
No. We don't get anything from the estate.
Emotionally, but not
emotionally.
Not financially.
I mean, so he took what they were saying face value as to be true, but he trusted them. But which is nothing wrong with that. But you must verify, because when you start throwing allegations out about someone, then you got to go back and go, wait a minute, let me make sure I'm telling the right thing. Make sure they're not selling me a bunch of goods, which they were.
What do you want to say about your brother as this documentary is about to hit the country?
I want them to understand and know that this documentary is not telling the truth. there has not been not one piece of evidence that corroborates their story.
You met him, didn't you, when you were 14?
Yeah, I spent a lot of time with him over a 10-year period, and I first met him at 14.
And so what was he like?
Well, he was extremely humble, very sweet, very funny, very, very sincere, and just had a very, very gentle, kind energy about him. I spent a lot of time at Neverland. He invited me to Neverland. When you hear these ridiculous claims that Neverland was supposed to be some kind of place to lure people in, it's just outrageous. I've seen it for myself. And, you know, the second time I went, you know, I actually, I really broke down and cried because I saw all the beautiful things he was doing for, you know, underprivileged people, children, folks of all ages. And it just really broke my heart that, you know, we live in a world where someone who has nothing but kindness and goodwill to offer can be so deliberately misinterpreted. And the documentary is one-sided, it's emotionally manipulative. 4 hours of emotional manipulation is a sure way to engrave these graphic, horrifying claims into people's minds in such a way. Yeah, he was never convicted of anything, and it's emotionally manipulative because they've got no evidence to offer. In fact, the only evidence that does exist is that which not only proves Michael Jackson completely innocent, but actually shows that the folks that are making these claims are actually lying, and they've contradicted their stories time and time and time again.
Did you ever see anything at all in your mind that, looking back now as an adult, would be deemed inappropriate?
Absolutely not. There was no payoff. There was a payment settlement, which was purely to put the civil case on pause so Michael Jackson could prove himself in a criminal trial. There was nothing that ever stopped them from proceeding with a criminal trial. They took the money and they ran. The state of California specifically changed the law with the only intention of trying to make it easier to convict Michael Jackson. Let me tell you now, if I had one iota, one shred of doubt, I would not I have children of my own. I would not be sitting here defending a man I thought was guilty. This is an injustice. This is an outrage. This is an insult to legitimate victims.
I'm saying that there are people that were the people that did this to both me and Corey that are still working, they're still out there, and they're some of the richest, most powerful people in this business.
And they are
And they do not want me saying what I'm saying right now.
Are you saying that they're pedophiles?
Yes.
And that they're still in this business?
Yes.
That's what, and that's what you're saying in your book. When you talk to when you talk to
And
parents,
they don't want me here right now. Trust
Corey,
me. They want me dead.
there are a lot of parents out here who want to put their kids in this business. Their kids are cute, they're great actors. What would you say to a parent who just has the best of intentions, who's coming here with their child? If you're saying that there's a lot of predators in this industry.
It's a many-feathered bird. Okay? Be careful what you wish for. That's what I'll tell you. You know, don't go into it with naivety. Don't go into it thinking that it's all roses and sunglasses and
damaging an entire industry.
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to. I'm just trying to say that it's a very important, serious topic.
You said that there was one gentleman in the industry who did not take advantage of you. He was not a pedophile. You said it was Michael Jackson.
Of all people.
You know, what do you think of the way that the media's been covering this? Because there, you know, one guy says, "Oh, it's bad. He was a pedophile. He was this. He was a bad guy." Right? And then another person says, "No, this is a guy who gave an amazing amount to our world." So I'm throwing it out.
Peter King was the senator. There's nothing good to say about this guy, he continued. But the bottom line is, would you let your child or grandchild be in the same room as Michael Jackson? What I want to say is...
He's a congressman.
He's a congressman, yes. The thing about Michael Jackson, I would like to say that there was too much coverage of it. I mean, I could not... This is the coverage is Michael Jackson, and then the crawl is North Korea has nuclear weapons. Hello? It should be the opposite. Right. You know? But that's one thing. Or the only thing I would say about him, and you know, he did settle a $25 million lawsuit with a family that the kid claims, but he was not indicted. No. He was never convicted. And so we don't know what actually happened. He was acquitted the second time. He was acquitted. Yes. But it's just suspicious if it's $25 million payoff. I mean, come on.
He was not brought up on charges.
I know.
He was acquitted.
Then why did he pay all that money?
Because he didn't want to go to court. It's why people settle out of court. Because one thing that happens is, I don't know, probably nobody's ever sued you. No. But when you are sued, it is on you to prove. They don't have to prove their charge. You have to prove it. Right. It's costly and it's a pain in the butt. Right. You know, and so sometimes, you know, it's just easier. Give them what they want and they'll go away. Sometimes it backfires for people. You know, you give them what they want, and then they come back 4 years later.
Also, you remember We Are the World. He and Lionel Richie wrote this song called We Are the World, which did an amazing job for all these people, brought attention to people all around the world and what they were going through. So this man affected everybody all over the country, the world, the nation. So it's a lot of coverage brought
And he
on
left,
that.
what is it, 20% of his money to charities that go to children.
He made MTV what it was. They did not have African Americans on their channel until Michael Jackson's, was it Thriller, that came on. It could have still been like that. So he broke racial barriers.
That's the artist that Joy's talking about.
I don't even think that's the artist. He broke racial barriers. So you could say it was the artist. I think you could separate them.
The artist who broke racial barriers.
No, that's the man who broke racial barriers.
And to answer Mr. King's question, would you leave your children? Yes, I would.
You
yes,
would leave
I
your
did.
children
I
with
left my child with Michael. Yes.
But Michael, in one interview, does say that he thought it was totally appropriate to sleep in a bed. He was a 40-something-year-old man in a bed with a child, which I think is odd, frankly. And if I was going to leave him with my children, I would have a nanny cam on him.
Well, here's the deal. Here's the deal. Let me tell you about Michael, okay? Michael Jackson, from the time he was that big, did nothing but perform.
Right.
No life, no kid life, no nothing. This guy, sex is not part of his world. This is my opinion. I never believed that sex was part of Michael's world. So to him, hurting a child, he'd rather hurt an adult if he was going to hurt somebody. He would never hurt a child. This is the last person in the world, because to him, they were the only people that understood him. They were the only people that. So I just wanted to put that out there because, you know.
She was just a wonderful, warm, compassionate person. Very caring, very caring. It was real. It wasn't publicity stuff. It was real. She really cared. I'm the same way. I feel the same way that she does about children and the future of our children and the future of the world. What I usually do on my off days, I do as many hospitals as I do concerts. I do as many orphanages as I do concerts. But because it's good news, the press don't cover it. They want bad news. But I do it from my heart. I don't do it to wave a flag and say, look at me. We bring bags of toys and posters and albums, and you should see how it transforms these kids. They jump up and down, and they're so happy. This is Lisa Marie and myself at a hospital in Budapest. And I saw this little kid. His name was Farkas. He was very sick. He was green in the face, but he had this glow and this sparkle in his eye. I asked this nurse, what's wrong with this kid? She said that he needs a liver. So I said, does that mean he's gonna die? She said, yes, he's gonna die unless he gets the liver. I said, I'm not gonna let him die, this sweet, sweet angel. No matter what it takes, I'm gonna find a liver for him. So I sent my organization around the world. We went all over the place, and it took a long time. And I said, I'm not giving up. I'm not gonna have this child die. I was so happy when I got a phone call. They told me we found the liver, and he has his life. And I'm so proud that I could help him. God bless him. My deepest gratitude for your love and support. I am doing well and I am strong. As you may already know, after my tour ended, I remain out of the country undergoing treatment for a dependency on pain medication. This medication was initially prescribed to see the excruciating pain that I was suffering after recent reconstructive surgery on my scalp. There have been many disgusting statements made recently concerning allegations of improper conduct on my part. These statements about me are totally false. As I have maintained from the very beginning, I am hoping for a speedy end to this horrifying experience to which I have been subjected. I shall not in this statement respond to all of the false allegations being made against me, since my lawyers have advised me that this is not the proper forum in which to do that. I will say that I am particularly upset by the handling of this mass matter by the incredible, terrible mass media. At every opportunity, the media has dissected and manipulated these allegations to reach their own conclusions. I ask all of you to wait and hear the truth before you label or condemn me.
Don't treat me like a criminal, because I am innocent. I have been forced to submit to a dehumanizing and humiliating examination by the Santa Barbara County Sheriff Department and the Los Angeles Police Department earlier this week. They served a search warrant on me which allowed them to view and photograph my body, including my penis, my buttocks, my lower torso, thighs, and any other area that they wanted. They were supposedly looking for any discoloration, spotting, blotches, or other evidence of a skin color disorder called vitiligo, which I have previously spoken about. The warrant also directed me to cooperate in any examination of my body by their physician to determine the condition of my skin, including whether I have vitiligo or any other skin disorder. The warrant further stated that I had no right to refuse the examination or photographs, and if I failed to cooperate with them, they would introduce that refusal at any trial as an indication of my guilt. It was the most humiliating ordeal of my life, one that no person should ever have to suffer. And even after experiencing the indignity of this search, the parties involved were still not satisfied and wanted to take even more pictures. It was a nightmare, a horrifying nightmare. But if this is what I have to endure to prove my innocence, my complete innocence, so be it. Throughout my life, I have only tried to help thousands upon thousands of children to live happy lives. It brings tears to my eyes when I see any child who suffers. I am not guilty of these allegations, but if I am guilty of anything, it is of giving all that I have to give to help children all over the world. It is of loving children of all ages and races. It is of gaining sheer joy from seeing children with their innocent and smiling faces. It is of enjoying through them the childhood that I missed myself. If I am guilty of anything, it is of believing what God said about children. Suffer little children to come unto me, and forbid them not, for such is the kingdom of heaven. In no way do I think that I am God, but I do try to be God-like in my heart. I am totally innocent of any wrongdoing, and I know these terrible allegations will all be proven false. Again, to my friends and fans, thank you very much for all of your support. Together, we will see this through to the very end. I love you very much, and may God bless you all. I love you. Goodbye.
No, I'm going to put it my way. I've had it before. Sorry. Again. I don't want to.
Count 1, verdict. We, the jury, in the above entitled case, find the defendant not guilty of conspiracy as charged in count 1 of the indictment, dated June 13th, 2005, foreperson number 80. Count 2, verdict. We, the jury, in the above entitled case, find the defendant not guilty of a lewd act upon a minor child as charged in count 2 of the indictment, dated June 13th, 2005, foreperson number 80. Count 3, verdict. We, the jury, in the above entitled case, find the defendant not guilty of a lewd act upon a minor child as charged in count 3 of the indictment, dated June 13th, 2005, foreperson number 80. Count 4, verdict. We, the jury, in the above entitled case, find the defendant not guilty of lewd act upon a minor child as charged in count 4 of the indictment, dated June 10th, 2005, foreperson number 80. Count 5, verdict. We, the jury, in the above entitled case, find the defendant not guilty of a lewd act upon a minor child as charged in count 5 of the indictment, dated June 10th, 2005, foreperson number 80. Count 6, verdict. We, the jury, in the above entitled case, find the defendant not guilty of attempting to commit a lewd act upon a minor child as charged in count 6 of the indictment, dated June 13th, 2005, foreperson number 80. Count 7, verdict.
What I do, well, most of my songs are fast.
I mean, what do you put into it?
Well, whatever I sing, that's what I really mean. Like I'm singing a song. I don't sing it if I don't mean it.
Gonna put me down, please. Put me down. Let me know when you need Jackson again. You fuck.
For 1993 to my big brother, Michael Jackson.
that change.